What is going on, guys? Welcome back. In my last video we learned about if-else statements, which are conditional statements, and we saw some examples of if-else statements. Now today in this video we are going to take a look at logical operators, or you can say comparison operators, because this compares two values like a number like 1 or 0 to values like true or false. So let's see by some examples. So here is some logical operators list, and these are some basics. And there's a first logical operator which is equals to. It compares two values like a equals to b. If a equals to b, then it will give the result true, or either it will give the result false. So let's see by some example in my JavaScript code window. So here's a JavaScript code window, and here I created a value. Here I created a variable I and assigned it to 0, and I created a variable j and assigned it to 10. So I also created a variable x and I assigned it to x equals to j, where equal is the first logical operator. So let's comment it out and see what's its result. So save it and run on your browser. Then you can see it gives me the result false, because I is equals to 0 and j equals to 10. So I is not equals to j, so it gives the result false. So if I change the values of I to 10, and now if I save it, then you will say here true, because I is 10, j is 10, and I equals to j, which is right. Let's see next logical operator, which is not equals to. It is the combination of exclamation sign and a single equal operator, and it is used for comparing two values to check whether they are not equals. So let's see. Here's it. Now let's change the values of our operator. So change it. Now I equals to 10 and j equals to also 10. So I is not equals to j. So this statement is not seems like correct. So let's see, save it and run it. Then you can see false, because I is equals to j, and here I is not equals to j, which is statement. So let's change the values of either I or j. So I equals to 0. Now this statement is right. Save it and run it. Then you can see true, because I is 0 and j is 10, and I is not equals to j, which is right. So let's see another example. So here's the next logical operator, which is less than. It is a less than symbol, and it is used for comparing two values to check whether which value is bigger than other. So let's see, save it, and sorry. So here's it. So at the place of operators, let's change the operator value to the less than symbol and save it. So here I is 0, j is 10, and at the statement x, where I assign the I is less than j, which is alright. So save it and run it. Then you can see there's a result true, because I is really less than j. If I change the values, if I change the j from 10 to 0 and change the I from 0 to 10, then you can see I is not less than j. So if I save it and run it, then you can see there's a result at false, because I is greater than j. If I change the operator into my next operator, which is greater than symbol, it works similarly like less than symbol, except it gives the greater than value as a true. So let's change the value greater than, save it and run it. Then you can see true, because I is greater than j. If I change the values again to 20, 200, and j to 300, so save it, now run it. Then you can see, because I is not greater than j, I is less than j. Save it and run it. Here you can see. So let's see our next logical operator, which is less than or equals to. It means that value can less than or equals to. So let's see by some examples. So here's 200 and 300. which is the value of I and j respectively. So x equals to a sign less than and or equals to. So it will give me the result if the result at true if I is really less than j, or it will also give me true when I is equals to j, because here I or j is an operator less than or equals to. If I save it and run it, then you can see it is giving result true because I is really less than j. If I change the value of I to 300, so save it and run it, then you can see here's the true because I is, since not I is less than j, even it is equals to, so I is equals to j, which is true. If I change the value of j to 400, so save it and run it, it is still true because 400 is bigger than I. If I change the value and decrement it, so 200, save it and run it, then you can see false because I is greater than j. So let's see new logical operator which is greater than or equals to. So it is also like less than or equals to operator. So change the values of operator. So here save it. So statement is like that. I'm sorry. Here I is greater than or equals to j, and here I is 300 and j is 200. So its statement is obviously true. If I save it and run it, then you can see it's the true because I is really greater than or equals to j. If I change the value of j to 300, then you can see true because there is also equal. So I is either greater than or either equals to j. So let's see new logical operator which is logical and. It is not like all this. It is used for evaluating two values like true or false, a or b. So let's see here. If I assign I to true and assign j to false, and if I change the operators to and, which are two and symbols, and so save it and run it, then you can see that it gave me the false because here's a truth table for logical and or logical and truth table, and here's the logical or truth table. So let's consider about logical and truth table, where suppose I have two variables a and b, and the logical operator is and. So change this by and or and equals to result. So if a is true and b is false, then the statement for true and false equals to false. It is like mathematical operations like plus and plus equals to plus, minus and plus equals to plus. So it's same thing. So true and false give me the result false, false and true gives also the result false, true and true gives the result true, and false gives the result false. If we save it, if we see by examples, then you can see I is true, j is false, then I and j, which is true and false, which give the result false. If change the values of I or j to true or false, then true or true gives the result true. Save it, then you can see change the values again to false and false, false and false, save it. Here you can see because both are the false. So let's see new logical operator or comparison operator, which is logical or. It gives the result like this table. Here's the logical or truth table, where two variables a and b have assigned either true or either false, and the statement would be like a or b and gives the result. So when a is true and b is false, then a or b statement gives the result in true. So or is equals to bitwise operators like this, bar operators. Here you can see. So when a is true and b is false, then a or b is true, false or true, which is always true, true or true, which is always true, and false or false, always false. It gives the false result at only condition when both our statements are false. So let's see in JavaScript code. So when I is false and j is false, then change the operators. Save it and run it. Then you can see, because it gives at only condition when both our statements are false, it gives the result at false. If I change the values of either at true, then true or false, which is always true, or true or true, which is always true. Here you can see. So these are the some comparison operators you can use in your if else statements using these operators. So let's see by some examples of if else statements. So I've created a variable called a and assigned it to 0. Another variable a b equals to 10. So let's use conditional statements. If a equals to b, if a equals to b, under the parenthesis a equals to b, it is logical operator. Then document dot get element by id, demo dot inner html equals to, yes, this statement is right. Right. Okay. Else, if a is not equals to b, document dot print dot get element by id demo dot inner html equals to, no, this statement is wrong. So let's see what is the example where a is 0 and b is 10, and if condition is a equals to b, then print, yes, this statement is right. If otherwise, if a is not equals to b, then print, no, this statement is wrong. So here a is really not equals to b because a is 0 and b is 10, then it will print the else statements comment. Save it and run it. Then you can see, no, this statement is wrong because a is not equals to b. If I change the operators to not equal, save it, now this statement is all right because a is not equals to b. Then it will print the all things of this if statement. Save it and run it. Then you can see, yes, this statement is right because a is not equals to b. So in this way you can use all my logical operators as I see in this video, and you can find some more logical operators or comparison operators in web. So thanks for watching and hope to see you in next video.